Obviously, it's about bikes. All right, we are here with long-time Spinergy athlete, 5-time Red Bull Rampage participant, Wil White. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to our little podcast thing that we've got going on.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So how long have you been with Spinergy? You've been with Spinergy for a while, right?
Yeah, I think it's coming up on about 14 years now.
Oh, wow. Way longer than I've been here. You're like probably one of the originals.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about just kind of your history with the brand and, you know, kind of how you started free riding.
Yeah, I used to race downhill locally at a spot called Fontana, and they had some Spinergy reps out there, and I saw their wheels. I think that was the first time that I picked them up was probably around 2008. And I raced downhill on them to begin with, but then I got into free riding, and they just stuck with me through free riding.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's 5 times, right, for Red Bull Rampage?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, because for me, that's one of the biggest free ride events that's been going on. I personally haven't gone to one yet. It's on my bucket list to kind of go to, even though I feel like sometimes it's better to watch it on TV because you can actually see the full course.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through your experience with that and which one was your favorite one to attend so far?
Yeah, I mean, Rampage is interesting. Everyone definitely needs to get out there and see it in person for sure. It's definitely easier to watch on TV, but you'll get a better perspective of the sides of everything in person. But for me personally, my first event was in 2010 when I was 16. I just remember being pretty scared of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've been out in Utah before, but showing up with the idea of competing was really intimidating, and everyone there kind of seemed like they knew what they were going through and knew what they were looking for and what they wanted to do, and I was just clueless. But after the first year, it was really good. I settled in. I felt really really at home, really welcomed there, and I had a really good time competing there over the years. It was a lot of fun, pushing my limits, and generally being scared, but pretty stoked.
Yeah.
Really stoked to make it down to the bottom. Yeah, I have a lot of fun memories there.
Yeah, make it down to the bottom in one piece.
Yeah, that was always the best feeling. That's the one thing I always remember, getting down to the finish ground, just being like, hey, I'm in it.
I know. I feel like that's the best part of the event is when you see that rider make it to the bottom, the excitement and the stoke level, just I don't have to do that again. That was my run. That's it. So you said earlier that you've obviously been with Spinergy for a really long time. So, and you brought some archives with you today.
Yeah.
You brought a couple bikes. So do you want to go over with some of the bikes that you brought with us?
Yeah, so the first bike I brought was a Carpeel Apocalypse that I got in 2007, and I put Spinergy's on, I think, the year after when I finally got it built up and swapped out some things. But it's a one-of-a-kind bike. It's got 2 rear shocks and 13 inches of rear travel. So it's 335 millimeters in the back, which is completely unheard of today. Most bikes max out at 8 inches, I think.
Yeah.
So. But it was originally built for a guy named Josh Bender who used to ride off 60, 70-foot drops and things like that. And that's what I thought I wanted to do originally and what I ended up trying to do. But so Carpeel actually sent me the bike so I could do those things. And that was the bike that got me into Rampage and into free riding truly. And then I also brought an old slopestyle and dirt drum competition bike that I used to compete on back in 2010, 2012. Both of those bikes are 26-inch wheels, and then I bought my new hardtail that had the new wheels on it, and it's a 29er.
And you're sponsored by Orange now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the confusion, it's not just an Orange bike. It's actually the brand Orange.
Yeah, Orange Bicycles is a company out of the UK.
Yeah, you're not crazy for having a blue bike with orange on it.
Right.
The orange logo
on it. It is confusing, but yeah.
So why don't you tell us about upcoming events that you have going on?
So this year I'm going to be doing my own thing, doing a lot more free riding than I have in years past. But for planned events, I have a couple downhill races in Mexico, the urban races. Those are always super fun. And then we're kind of still waiting to see what free ride events are going to pop up on the calendar this year, just with COVID making everything kind of uncertain. But we have a couple free ride Fiesta events planned and a fire ride event planned.
Okay, and where are those at?
So the fire ride event was supposed to be in Bali, which would be really cool, but we're still kind of waiting to see how I think it's like an island, right? So they got their own like little set of COVID things, so we got to see how the island handles it. But other than that, the other one's going to be down in Mexico. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of the events right now are like kind of coming up last minute just because they're not sure with everything that's going on. But the ones in Mexico are hectic. Yeah. Like, that's so crazy that you guys ride those courses. Yeah. I guess it's not really a course. It's just like the streets of Mexico. Yeah. So when you get ready for something like that, like mentally and physically, like what type of preparation goes into that for you?
It depends on the event, but if it's a race event, I'll spend the months before getting my like aerobic levels up, getting my like muscle back up, because I don't usually train that hard for like racing purposes. I'm more of a free rider. So first I got to make sure I can pedal. Yeah. But after I know I can pedal, then mentally it really depends on the venue. Most of the Mexico ones, it's a little sketchy just because of like they're marshaled, but they're not super well marshaled, so there's always the chance of a dog or a cat or a person or something running into the course.
Like, I've been to some Mexico races where fans like come out on like the road that you're riding like downstairs and they'll like try to grab you, or they'll like throw a sign in your face.
Yeah, it happens.
It's just bad timing. It's not, it's like you're just never sure whose hand's going to end up on you while you're coming down.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a different thing mentally, but usually you can just like focus on the course. And, we usually get enough ample practice time that you can like kind of calm your mental nerves when the event comes around. But yeah, it's always a little like nerve-wracking when you first show up.
Yeah, I'm sure it's really exciting though. Can you talk about that a little bit, like the performance of the wheels and how you feel like that affects the type of riding that you do? Because there's a lot of impact. Yeah. There's a lot of impact.
Yeah, so for me personally, the whole reason I've been with Spinergy for like over a decade is because I used to destroy wheels. Like, it was ridiculous. I would do a wheel a month, if not two, and I just couldn't afford to ride with the way I was going through wheels. So when I was at Fontana, the guy who, I can't remember his name now, but it might be the same guy that's still working upstairs, but he came up to me and said, I've noticed you've been breaking wheels a lot. Why don't you try a set of these out? And I tried them, and the original set that he still gave me 14 years ago now is still running just fine.
Oh, jeez.
So, like, every wheel that I've had, I think I've broken maybe, like, 1 out of 30 over the years, which is just, like, unheard of. And when that one broke, it's totally my fault anyways. So, that's the number one thing that's kept me on Spinergy, the fact that I know they're not going to break.
Yeah, that's the big part. Like, you don't want your wheels exploding while you're, doing any of that. I can't even, like, think of what you're doing because you do, like, some crazy stuff. So, it's just, like, for me, we're just doing kind of easy riding around here with some what we call technical trails, but what you're doing is so hectic that like you just need to be able to know that when you land this jump, you're going to land in one piece.
Yeah, well, that's the other part of the mental aspect. Like, part of it is you have to think, like, is my bike going to be okay? Is it going to make it through this? And when you're at Rampage, you really do stress things like that because the jumps are so big. And it's just another, like, little thing to have that nice peace of mind. Like, okay, the wheels are going to be fine. Is the frame going to be good? Okay, frame's going to be good. What about the bars? Like, you run through the checklist. So you just got to make sure everything, what you want it to be in strength. Yeah.
So we talked a lot about your original bike and wheels that you have. Mm-hmm. So why don't you talk to us about the current bike you're using and the wheels that you have on that bike?
Right. So my old wheels were aluminum, and the new ones are all carbon rim. Which is a huge difference. It's a huge upgrade. You can notice the stiffness difference right away. But I've got them on my 29er Enduro bike, which I use it for racing, but it's a hardtail. But I actually won the local race series on it. So
I know. I see a lot of people out there racing on hardtails.
Yeah, it's fast. And then I've got them on my e-bike as well. And they've just been phenomenal on there. They were quite a bit lighter than the wheels that I had on there before, my aluminum ones that were just absolutely trash. Yeah. The e-bike ones in particular, I've been putting through pretty heavy abuse as far as doing some like big downhill stuff and jumps and everything, and they've been totally fine.
Yeah. A lot of people, I feel like, tend to put the e-bike, they think the e-bike is like a dirt bike.
Yeah.
So they're like, I know, they're like, I ride this bike so hard, like it's totally like, and they're durable. And I'm like, well, I guess it's pretty similar to a dirt bike.
It is, and it's just so easy to put miles on the e-bike too. Yeah. If you get a fun downhill session, you can just pedal right back up and do it again.
Yeah, so, you just can get a lot of laps in. Mm-hmm. So the wheels for you, the e-bike wheels are huge. Like they have a beefier hub, the thick spokes. Do you feel like you can tell a difference between the e-bike one and the carbon mountain bike ones that you have? Or do you feel like the technology is pretty consistent for, your performance?
Yeah, actually, no, I haven't really noticed too much of a difference between the two. The biggest difference that I can notice is lightness. Like the hardtail ones are a little bit lighter, the 29ers. But I think a big part of that's just the bike that I have them on, because one's on a hardtail and one's on an e-bike.
Yeah,
So
the e-bikes are so heavy.
But yeah, honestly, they feel pretty similar, which I was surprised, since the MX-30s are like radially laced at the front, so they're straight laced. They don't have any crosses or anything on the one side. But you can't really notice too much of a difference with them at all.
Yeah, that's good. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for coming in and chatting with us.
Yeah,
and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.